Hello everyone and thank you for joining me. My name is Eugen and today I am going to have some fun with a fountain pen that I received as a birthday present from my other half, the Nero Muse Silver Gaudy fountain pen. This happened almost 3 years ago, almost on the dot, just 3 days short. Since I am not the one who found this pen, I do not know what price was bought at. But after visiting the website, the price seems to be somewhere around $300 to $350 Canadian, plus some shipping, I assume. The pen it's more on the expensive side because it is made out of solid sterling silver, and based on the information from their website, this seems to be handcrafted and engraved with a design that echoes the style of gaudy geometry. I will be honest, I never heard of the Neuromuse Italy company until the day I received this fountain pen, and I am intrigued, to be honest with you. I do like the fountain pen. It's actually seems to be well done, well put together. Attention to detail is definitely there, and I could definitely see the hand work that actually went into this fountain pen. The fountain pen has this beautiful twisted pattern, and as they were saying on their website, this seems to be handcrafted. The sterling silver seems to be exposed, so there is no coating on it. And yes, this pen does get some silver patina. So if you like that, this is actually kind of cool. Personally, from time to time, I do polish it with a polishing cloth that is dedicated for jewelries. And the trims, like the middle band, the end finials, and the clip, I'm not sure what material is, but I'm pretty sure it's not sterling silver. And however, from what they're saying, this is silver plated. Things to note, the end finials, they're very interesting in shape. I wouldn't know how to call it. The first thing that comes to mind is like a military helmet, old style military helmet. And the one on the cap is pretty much the same. And the middle band, it says Nero Muse Italy, and you can actually feel the weight. There's a lot of weight on that middle band, but it's not unpleasant. And the clip, fairly springy, works very well. I don't think there are going to be any issues with it. Doing the shirt test, the clip slides in without any issues. Absolutely no drama there. This is what you see out of your pocket. And removing it seems to be very nice. No issues there as well. The clip is stamped. However, it's done nicely. I see no issues with it. One thing that I forgot to mention, on the back there seems to be engraved some sort of a stamp that I have no idea what it means, but it looks kind of cool. And on the other side, as I showed, it just has the name of the company. The cap, it's a twist cap. It can be removed very quickly. Probably maybe in a turn or something like that, based on how it feels. Maybe a turn and a half. And once you remove it, you will be greeted with a fairly short section, but very comfortable, and a back nib. This back nib is a titanium back nib. The nut came with the pen. The original nib that came with the pen was still a back nib, but it was a simple stainless steel back nib, and it had engraved on it basically, I guess, two griffins holding a nib unit. I have nothing against this nib. It's actually well put and seems to be working fairly well. This is a medium size. However, I thought that the nib is a little bit maybe too blunt on this pen, so I decided to replace it with this Bock nib, titanium Bock nib, that it's an extra fine, and I did some anodizing on this pen as well, on the nib as well. And I think overall, again, in my opinion, it fits the pen a little bit better and sets it off a little bit better. And somehow makes that sterling silver stand up a little bit more. Going back to the cap, as you can see from the endoscope video, inside things are fairly simple. We do have a plastic inner liner to protect and hopefully to seal the nib. And if we are to believe what they were saying, if this is truly solid sterling silver, I assume that the tube inside might be sterling silver, but I somehow doubt it. Going back to the fountain pen, as I mentioned, the section is fairly short, but actually is very comfortable. There is a step up between section and the barrel, and basically this step up also contains the threads that thread into the cap. However, it's not an abrupt step up, and I don't find it that uncomfortable. I can definitely find my way around it. And well, for my uses, this actually worked out pretty well. The balance of the pen, unposted, it's actually pretty good, right in the middle of the pen. And this pen does post, and it posts very securely with a little bit of a click. And actually you have to fight a little bit to twist it, so that's done pretty well. And once posted, the pen, it's a little bit more hefty in size, and you actually feel the weight as well, mostly because of that middle band. What I did notice is that the cap can move, however sits securely. And in hand, the balance does shift a little bit towards the top, and mostly the balance seems to be right on the band. And as such makes the weight of the pen sits, at least in my hand, right on the ball of my finger or just underneath it, the knuckle. And as such doesn't make it really top heavy, and I don't mind this pen using it posted. However, I did notice that when you post it does tend to scratch the pen. And because of this reason, I tend to not post the pen most of the times. So I usually use it unposted. However, posted, as I mentioned, it's actually not unpleasant. I like it. Other details that I forgot to mention, on the barrel you have stamped the sterling silver, and you have the stamp on the barrel, on the section, as well on the cap. The barrel removes fairly easy, not a lot of issues in there. The thread seems to be fairly loose, but once it's tied down, there's absolutely no movement. And once you remove it, it will reveal a converter that is included with the fountain pen, and I'm grateful for that. And it's a regular international converter, unbranded. However, I assume it's either made by Schmidt or Schneider. And this is the fountain pen in a nutshell. I do like it. It is definitely a beautiful pen. And I do have a soft spot for sterling silver fountain pens. And looking at one thing that I really like, and that's attention to detail. When capped, it's like these lines are sort of a continuing behind the band. They line up very nicely. And let's get to the exciting parts. I'll show you how to fill it up. I'll do a writing sample, and then I'm gonna dive into an ink sketch. For today, I wanted to go back and use the Winter Shogun from Irushizuku. And you'll see that on the side I also have the camera setup. I've been asked to actually show a little bit of a close-up on the filling process rather than the view top. So from now on, I'll try and include the side view of the filling up process, as you can see on the left from the camera. And as I usually mentioned, cap off, barrel off, piston down, and then you put the nib into the ink. And as I usually say, you go halfway up until you see ink coming into the piston, or better said converter. Then you go down and then you go back up. Usually you want to go as low as possible, this way you avoid bubbles. And then just slowly glide that feed on the edge of the bottle. Don't press hard, just let it be. And the piston gets actually a very good feel, I like it. And because of the pattern, the ink does goes into those crevices. So before doing the writing sample, I will clean it up with a little bit of a damp towel just to remove any ink traces. And doing a small writing sample. As mentioned, I use a damp paper towel, and the section cleaned up very nicely, no issues. However, I could see an issue if you use carbon-based ink. That might stain a little bit and might take a little bit to clean it up properly. So, this is Nero Muse Silver Gaudy fountain pen. So this nib, even though it's an extra fine, it's actually very wet. Very wet. And reverse seems to work quite nicely, no issues as well. Alright, I actually really like the nib. I think I made a good choice going with that Bock nib. Should be interesting during the drawing. The flow is very good. Very good. And the fun thing about these nibs is that they do flex. However, with Bock nib, you gotta be a little bit careful because they're not very springy. I mean, they do have a bounce to them and they have some springiness, but you can easily overpower it. So you kind of have to be careful with it. So with this nib, I can definitely get some nice line variation, and it's very easy, like barely touching the paper. The paper is moving because I'm pushing down on it, but it doesn't actually move. And I wouldn't go more than this, at least not with this nib. However, it works very nicely. I like it. Alright, I'm excited for the drawing. So let's get sketching with this thing, and I'll let you know what I think of this fountain pen. Tonight's drawing turned out to be just another doodle. Just lines and dots and circles and nothing else. Somehow nothing really wanted to come out of my head. The funny part is that towards the end of this drawing, an idea actually hit me, but it was too late to start all over again. So I will keep it for my next review. In hindsight, I have a little bit of regret using this Winter Shogun ink. I think if I would have used a black ink, probably the end result would have had more visual impact. I do like the vines or tentacles, not sure what would you call them, but I think I might use them in the future. As for the fountain pen, it worked without any issues. Flow was good, maybe too good to be honest. I actually really like the titanium nib that I put on it. It is extremely wet, especially with this Iroshizuku ink. As a fun fact, I did not realize I put that much ink on the page. I only realized how much ink I had left after I was done with drawing. And when I looked at the converter, it was pretty much empty. Maybe I had one drop or less than one drop ink left in the converter. What do I like about the Silver Gaudi? The first thing that comes to mind is how the pen feels in hand. It does feel a little bit different and unique. It's really hard to explain unless you're actually holding it. I mean, it is a metal pen, it is, but at the same time, it's light and soft. It's weird. I'm not sure how to explain it. The design is very pleasant as well. You can clearly see that whoever worked on this fountain pen had a good eye for the detail. Beautiful handwork, and things do line up very well. The pen is very well balanced in hand, for me at least, posted or unposted, even though unposted tends to be maybe a little bit top heavier, especially if you would have smaller hands. And to give credit as well, while I was not really excited on the medium stainless steel box nib that came with the pen, I have to admit that it was a good nib. Never had any issues with it, but it always felt out of place for me visually. And I think that the new titanium nib that I've added kind of completes the look of the pen, probably even better than a gold nib does. And I'm glad I stuck with this titanium nib. What I don't like about the Silver Gaudi, the first thing that baffled me was the nib. As already mentioned, compared with the rest of the pen, it felt a little bit out of place. Nothing wrong with it, it worked just fine, just didn't feel like it matched the rest of the pen. Maybe if it would have been coated in the same colors as the trims that the rest of the pen has would have been a better choice. I don't know. I guess in the end, like I mentioned, it's just personal preference. The other thing that people might find annoying is that the sterling silver is not coated with anything. So this means that the pen will oxidize very easily, even when just sitting in a drawer or pen case. Some might love that, some might not. Personally, I am somewhere in between, so I do occasionally use polishing cloth to polish the pen. And this brings me to another point on this sterling silver pen. It scratches way too easily because it doesn't have any protective coating. And that I do not like that much. As you have seen, just posting the pen a couple of times already scratched the silver. The only reason I will use the pen unposted most of the time. And that's it. There's nothing else that I dislike about this pen. Overall, I obviously love the pen, and since it came from someone I care about a lot, this makes it a little bit more special and possibly makes me a little more biased. So take that in consideration, please. I know that the price of it might be a little bit high, and not everyone would want to spend that kind of money on one. But considering it is solid sterling silver, based on what they're saying, and not just another plastic resin pen, I think the price is fair. I still think a nib that matches the trims on the pen would have been nicer though. And this is where my ramblings are stopping. Nothing else to say. If I have missed anything or you have any other questions, as usual, please leave a comment below and I will try and get to it as soon as I can. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope I'll catch you next time. Wish you all the best and a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Take care. Bye.